actually trained in graphic design, and did that. Did a couple of jobs after college for a couple of years, but had no interest in it. I didn't feel I had the talent to sustain a career, and so I walked away from it and did all sorts of odd jobs. And then I got a job in a psychiatric hospital doing occupational therapy as an assistant, and took an art group one afternoon which was doing collage, and that was, luckily for me, that brought me back into my artist self, because for 10 years I hadn't been drawing, I hadn't been taking photos, hadn't been thinking about art, and this was kind of a light bulb moment, and from that day on I've been making stuff. Yeah. I've always lived in this area, south of England, in Surrey. My parents moved out of London during the war to avoid the Blitz, and they settled in a field in Box Hill in Surrey. It was what was a weekend retreat. There's no running water and no electricity, and so that was where I was born. And I've always been in this area. This is one of my favourite drawers. It's all metal of a certain hue, which I find in the road, especially when I'm cycling, flattened by passing motorists. And these are just offcuts. I mean, I when I'm working, I have offcuts, and then there are offcuts of offcuts, and so nothing is wasted. Yeah, children like visiting this area. I'm using my house as a setting for the work, and the house and the work kind of have organically grown together. I moved in nearly 38 years ago, and I've been doing the work since then as well, so they've evolved together. I'm still using found objects. It hasn't changed in that respect. I think probably I'm using a lot more colour, and I like to think I'm putting a bit more design into it. When I started, it was very instinctive, and I wasn't referencing other artists. I didn't know that format, that discipline had been going since the turn of the century with Picasso and Braque, and it was totally intuitive, and I made my own stuff from myself. And then as the years went by, I probably became more aware of that discipline, in the art, in the greater art world. I owe a debt to Kurt Schwitters here, because I could show you the picture in his book. There's a piece, and it has a blue sliver in the top left-hand corner. And I thought, it's just so exciting to me, and I thought, I've got one of those blue slivers. I'm gonna do one of those, and of course it ended up being that, which is nothing at all like his picture, but it's totally inspired by him, and I couldn't have done it without him. And yeah. about as rebellious as I got. Well, it was early 70s, and yeah, I was doing my 60s thing in the 70s. I've always been a bit of a late starter, smoking dope and stuff. And I was doing the self-sufficient thing where you had chickens in the garden, and the whole back garden was vegetables. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a TV. I didn't have I had to get rid of everything because I was confused by the choice, the richness of, am I going to play a record? Am I going to have the radio? Am I going to have a TV? So I chucked it all out and gave myself no choice at all. I needed to get back to zero. I couldn't do it now, but I enjoyed it then. I did it for a couple of years. I made it with about 2 hours to spare before I opened studio, and my girlfriend came round and said would I put it by for her and she'd buy it, and so that had a red sticker on before I even started the open studio, and then we had a row, and she sent it back, and then we made up, and then she bought it again, and so these checks were coming backwards and forwards. And as you can tell, because it's here, I'm no longer with this lady. So it ended up in my keeping. But maybe I'm saying too much. I don't know.